One, two, microphone a check. I cannot hear anything in my headphones. I hope you can hear it. So let's see if we are on the right track and everything is going well. Because we're gonna have a conversation about a lot of stuff. I've been skipping this for 2 weeks, and it's time that we talk and have a conversation. But first, let me get let me check to see if everything is working, if everything is fine, if we are live. We are live. Let me see if I can hear myself. So we are good. We are good. Guys, welcome to Nemanja Unfiltered. This is the episode six. Six topics today, all of them coming from the real conversation I had this past week for maybe 10 days. So, client calls, emails, proposals, all the stuff that I reviewed. So, no theory, no frameworks named after dead consultants, just what's actually happening in B2B right now. So, let's go and let's get it. First, I want to just drop the topics here in the LinkedIn comments, just so you can know what we're going to talk about. Okay? It's going to be a short one, but it's going to be a cute one, and it's going to be, as it always is, the useful one. Okay? So let's go and let's have some fun, guys. I don't know if you like it, but this is the new background. We still need to work on it. So, looking kind of nice. A change because we actually organize a couple of different setups here in the office slash studio that we can use. So it's going to be fun. Okay. So the first topic I want to talk with you today is the relationship trap. So there is this saying, and it's always funny, and I always have a good laugh when I hear it. When I hear my friends or somebody else say, "We have a great relationship with that client." Have you heard that one? I guess you did. So every time I hear that sentence, I know exactly what is coming next. The client hasn't grown. The scope hasn't changed in 2 years, but the team thinks everything is fine because they get a Christmas card from a client because they have a great relationships with them. I know it because I've been through that. When I was a GM in an agency where I actually started, and in 30 months I took the role of the GM, general manager, Canada, Serbian-based agency. The thing was, we had a client for a long time, and it was the biggest client we built. Also, while I was there, we built a startup with that client. But the thing was that it was a working relationship, so it wasn't like that. We kept building on that relationship. We built together a startup, and it became something else. But most of the clients who stuck with us for a while, those were the clients we relied on when it comes to referring to us new businesses. And the thing was that as the time passed by, as the technology advanced, as the environment changed, we were looking for the new clients, for the better clients, for the clients who are fitting what we are now, not what we were back in the days. So we couldn't get that from those clients. And then it was the time when I actually started building the sales motion inside the agency with the owners, with a few other guys that were there. We needed to learn how to sell, which is a wholly different conversation, but we're going to have that conversation definitely in one of these Nemanja Unfiltered talks. So let's go and let's tackle the problem. Great relationship is the most expensive euphemism in B2B. What does it actually mean? It means we never had a hard conversation. It means we never explained the engagement. We never asked for a referral. but we grab coffee and everything is good. This is not a good relationship. Just want to clear that out. That's a habit, and habits don't play invoices. So you need to rethink those things. From the field, and from actually experience, I worked with a company that had one client for 6 years. Excellent relationship, they said. The, the sales director used exactly those words to describe them. Excellent relationship. When we looked at the data, here's what we saw. So same contract since 2019. Same contract since 2019. They had three opportunities to expand scope. Three times they say we don't want to push them. We don't want to push them. Damn it. Push them as if proposing value is a pressure. The client eventually left for a competitors, of course. Yeah, you could assume that, right? Because the competitor proposed something new. They didn't push. They didn't push. Just talk like a partner. And the thing is, a real B2B relationship has uh, three markers. They pay on time, that's one. They expand scope when you bring value, that's the second one. And they send you to somebody else, that's the third one. If none of these three exist, you have a great relationship with the wrong client. So what you need to do is go through your portfolio this week. For every client, ask yourself, when did we last propose something new? When did we last ask for a referral? If you cannot answer that, the problem isn't the client. The problem is that you mistook good relationship for a strategy. You can see how much that pisses me off. I hope that you can see it, because you are not just a donkey with a stick. You are not here to just do what your clients tell you to do. You are here to propose actions, to analyze, to look at the data and propose actions. Owner, the company, whatever it is, they can say from their perspective what they think. Sure, they have the insights, but you have more insights than them. So you are the one coming up with a proposal. That's how it should be. If you have any questions, anytime, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'll be happy to answer all of the questions, no matter if they are related to the topics that I'm talking about. If I don't have time today, next week we are going live again, doing Nemanja Unfiltered, another episode. I'm trying to go live and record this and publish them as a podcast every week. But the thing is, I was buying an apartment. There was a lot of work in the last 10 days, so I didn't put out the episode last week. But we are changing that now and going back to the track. Let me just get a sip of the drink, and then we will move forward. Okay, time for the second topic. Second topic is go-to-market strategy that dies in the slide 4. In the other words, the execution layer doesn't exist. So the strategy looks great in the presentation. ICP defined, messaging aligned, channels clear, everyone nodding in the room. Yes, that's it. Here we go. We finally have it. 3 months later, nothing has changed. It's something that pisses me off very much. As somebody who is not only the strategist, but also somebody who likes to stick with the company until we actually get the desired results and we make sure that the strategy is working. This is something that pisses me off a lot. This isn't a strategy problem. The strategy is usually fine. The problem is that between here's the pain and here's what we do on Monday, there is a gap nobody filled. Nobody asked who is exactly responsible for what, by when, with what budget, who unblocks when it gets stuck, right? The execution layer, that's the layer between the strategic document and the actual work. And it doesn't exist in most B2B companies. So they cannot implement shit. I walked into an engagement with a firm, um, where the firm had an excellent go-to-market document. To tell you the truth, that was a great go-to-market document. I didn't build it. It was the one that I inherited. Consultants built it, another one, but the team approved it and the CEO signed off. So when I asked who owns the first step, because nothing was happening, right? So I asked who owns the first step. We got the silence. Everyone assumed someone else was responsible. The document was, to tell you, 34 pages. I mean, in the times of AI where we're living, it doesn't seem like a huge document. But not one page had a name, date, and definition of what done looks like. A strategy without an execution layer is not a strategy, it's an essay about what you should be doing. You need to put those things inside the document. Execution layer means one owner per initiative, one weekly check in with one question: what's blocked? One definition of success for every step. It's not completed, but it requires somebody to sit down and do that work. And that work, you can guess it, I guess, it's not sexy. And because it's not sexy, nobody owns that. Nobody owns the work that is not sexy. And this is exactly the work that gets shit done. So, what you should be doing, take your go to market plan, open it for every step right. Name, date, definition of done. How does it look like when these things is finished? If you can't fill that table, basically it's not a plan, guys. It's a wish list. So don't build wish lists. Build plans and strategies that get execute. And they get execute when you have the execution layer on top of the strategy. Yeah. Whew. Damn, I get so pissed off talking about these things. That's why I am recording Nemanja Unfiltered and taking all out. So maybe somebody will hear what I'm saying and do things differently. Okay, so another one. Let me see if I have. Andrea Savic says, "Good luck with the new apartment." Thank you, my man. Just the first, just the first thing that I've done. Still waiting for to sign up for the big papers. So we're gonna see what's going on. Juan Pablo Garcia, let me see what you have to say, my friend. What do you think is the root reason for the execution block? I think it's swinging priorities or lack of delegation. Managers get captured by new urgencies and staff get used to. Let's wait for the next fire. Yes, those are all true. Usually, what I think stops the execution is a couple of things. I mean, basically, I said them, but I want to repeat them and get actually into the core of things. So, one owner needs to go per initiative. We need to have a weekly check-in with the question, what's blocked? Usually, the CEO is the one who unblocks things, but sometimes he doesn't have time, so maybe it's, I don't know, head of growth or whoever is there, depending which departments are there. For example, if it's a marketing, sales, and customer success department, right? Usually, customer success is the one that I want to host the meeting because marketing and sales they get like cats and dogs. So from that perspective, we need to be aligned on the goals. We need to be aligned on how do we get that. Once a quarter, I want to have all the teams sign in which part of the process they own. So from that perspective, when something gets broken or gets stalled, we know whose responsibility is that. So from that perspective, this is the thing that you know that stops actually the thing or gets the thing going. Also, the thing that I'm seeing is when somebody who owns the strategy. To give you an example, I work with a company. When I build them the whole motion, we even have dates, a yearly plan, what's going on, which month, what's going on, and LinkedIn was a huge part of that. They wanted LinkedIn to be a huge part of it. So from advertising to organic to employer branding motion to the offline conferences, all of this stuff. But the thing was, lady who was in charge of implementing that was somebody who didn't have experience in B2B. She had experience in B2C, working with the large brands, the industry leaders, uh, retail, and I alarmed them about that, but nobody cared, right? So they say we have somebody in house who will lead the implementation. I said, usually not how it goes, and I don't recommend it because of this, and this. But they went in for that, and it ended up by not implementing shit. They came to me later and say, "How much do we actually pay you to stick around with us?" Where I told you, you didn't want to give that money. So now you have the strategy without implementation because the one person who should implement it didn't try all these things, didn't live through it, doesn't feel like she belongs in them, and therefore she cannot push the implementation. So sometimes it's just one person that stops the whole implementation thing. So that's how it goes. Daria, my man, waiting for you to join me here one day. So to record something together, it's about time. We didn't do it. Did we ever do it? Record something together? I don't think so. So maybe yeah, that's something to think about and to do. Uh, so yeah, that was kind of my answer. Juan, I hope that I answer it. There are tons of answer to these questions depending on the size of the company or how many departments are there, depending on who owns the thing. Is it the somebody who from the sales side, somebody from the marketing side, usually somebody from the sales side. So that's something else then, like, but those are the things that we can talk about and we can go in depth. If you, for example, give me the size of the company, whatever it is that's on your mind, maybe next time we can go into that and really get into the details. Okay, so the topic number 3 that I want to talk with you today. I cannot see your comments and the questions, when I talk, but from time to time I try to look at them. I have here in front of me the LinkedIn feed, so for some reason it doesn't show me the notification when you get the new comments, so I need to check them out. Possibly that will change during this live. So, okay. The third topic that I want to talk with you today is something that I call the conference circuit delusion. Basically speaking without return of investments. And everybody speaks at conferences and nobody measures what comes out of it. And it pisses me off. Of course, that's why it's on Nemanja Unfiltered. So let me repeat that. A lot of people, all of us basically, speaks at conferences and events, but nobody measures what comes out of it. I was one of the guys who didn't measure it. I was guilty of that as well. So it's not like, I'm somebody who comes in and just, gets into that. I'm pissed off because I didn't do it. Now, when I know that I can and how I can do it differently. So I get suspicious when somebody says I was on a panel and stops there. Okay, guy, lady, gentleman, whatever it is, you were on a panel. Great. But what happened after that? Who approached you? Which conversation actually continued? Which deal that panel opened? All legit questions to ask. So conferences have become, in my opinion, the most expensive ego networking that exists in B2B. Sure, they get shit done, but you need to know what you're doing so you can get shit done. The company pays flights, hotel, tickets, preparation time. The person speaks for 20 minutes, takes a photo for LinkedIn, of course, and comes home. Pipeline, zero, nada, zero. So I talked to a director who spoke at the 7 conferences last year. 7. When I ask how many deals opened directly or indirectly through those appearances, he couldn't name one. But he had 23 new LinkedIn connections and 3 invitations for more conferences to speak more. And the speaking return of investment, when 3 things exist, like, let me get into those details. So the right ICP in the audience, that's a clear call to action after the talk, and a system for tracking who was in the room. Those are the 3 things that you should think about when you are thinking about speaking at an event. Is your right ICP in the audience? Do you have a clear call to action after the talk? And do you have a system for tracking who was in the room? Without that, it's brand awareness for people who already know you. It's an ego trip, expensive and unproductive. I speak at conferences, but I know in advance why I'm going to each one. Sometimes I'm going to speak for free because, hey, I know who's in the audience. That's my target audience. And I know what my goal is not. And it's not a LinkedIn photo. Okay? So before you accept the next speaking invitation, ask the organizer who's in the audience. Give me the details. How many of them? Can I see the company list? Can I see the positions? Can I find them on LinkedIn? Can I see what they're all about? Are they my audience or no? If you cannot get that, it's not the right conference for your business. Usually it's just something, I don't know, like a display window. So you're, you know, window shopping over there, as 50 Cent used to say. Ah, interesting. Okay, yes. Let me go and see what we get there. Juan, thanks, and yes, question is what you do when you see they will fail, but you answer it. I don't know if I answered it. I try to answer. There are so many things to do, and I think I have a presentation somewhere. Uh, I was on a what was the conference? Um Measure Camp, yeah, in Belgrade, and this is exact topic that I did. How do I align the departments and make sure that things get done? So it is something that I done for the companies as a fractional CEO, and even more than that, coming up with the processes. So I created it. Maybe that's one of the topics that I should cover in the next one. That's a good one. Um, so let me see. There is another question. Do you have any recommendations about what to do for the ones like me that live close to great conferences venue that we can go and visit live? And the other one regarding conferences, when companies deploy sales guy to the expensive booth, can they be used to gather information instead of trying to explain to other sellers visiting the booth what the value of engine does without having any idea about why, who is there? Like, okay, those are great questions to ask. So let me get into that. My advice to anybody that is hosting a booth or buying a booth at the conference is use it to create content. So use it to come up with a for example, 2 chairs and a microphone, and do a podcast, 50 minutes with all the guests, with somebody else from the team. You can use the organizer to kind of get you the fellas. If you have space for that, and if the organizers allow you, you can also create like a mini stage over there and actually extract the content, create relationships with people, and go over there. Because usually, when it comes to the booths, everybody is there to sell something, and everybody gets the business cards from the people who are trying to sell something to them, and then trying to sell something to the people that are trying to sell their thing to them. Right? From that side, it's not very productive. So I like to focus on creating the content. When it comes to sales and what sales can do, is use, I don't know if it's marketing or sales or both together before the conference to kind of organize the meetings outside of the conference, outside of the main event. So before they're coming, find out who is coming to the conference, who is our ICP. They will be there. Sure, let's organize a side event. Let's organize a couple of meetings, but you need to prepare that before you come to the conference. Also, a good thing might be having a morning run, or if you are not a runner or something else. So that can also work nicely when it comes to that. And if you can have a chance to go to the big conference and try to get to draw the attention, here's something. My mind is not working. Man, I cannot remember even the people that I know from LinkedIn. How are their names? So, like, I will remember it later, and I will kick myself for that. But anyway, the guy was on my podcast. Even it's not working. So the thing is, he takes a big card and writes something on it, something obvious, something people will react to, something that is his uh, point of view, and just stands there with a card, like the famous meme, right? And people approach him and he is having conversations with them. So just something that popped into my mind. Cool. Go and create free content from them. Yeah, that's also something that you can do without paying the boot. Definitely. So yeah, that's also some of the thing. At one conference you can create the content for that you can distribute for months. Okay, so the fourth topic, it's founder-led sales that has a ceiling. Not many people are talking about it, especially in the days when we are approaching founder brand and talking about this kind of stuff. But okay, so here's what's on my mind. Founder sells everything. The company grows, but then it stops. And everyone looks at the founder and asks, what actually happened? You are the one selling, but the problem isn't the founder. The problem is that the founder should never have been the only one selling. He is the first one, but not the only one. Because founder led sales, it works perfectly up to a point. The goal from the start is you go from the founders channels, then you expand to the company channels, but the goal is to find out how do you sell, to whom do you sell, find your product market fit, and then you involve other people. And the thing is that you need to create the feedback loop. The goal is from the start to create the feedback loop that will actually give you the direction where to grow and how to grow. Okay? So founder-led sales works perfectly up to a point because they are buying you, the founder, the reputation, your name, and your presence. And we should look at the business outside of just the founder. The problem comes when you try to scale because the new sales rep, that poor guy, he cannot be you. They can learn from the process, but they cannot transfer the trust you built over the years. And this is exactly where the company stalls. Not because there's no market, but because the pipeline depends on one single person who has 24 hours a day, right? Like all of us. I work with a company where the founder personally closed the first 40 clients, every single deal. When they hired the first sales rep, 18 months without a single new client through that person. The founder was still closing everything. So when we went in and looked, the problem wasn't the sales rep. The problem, the poor guy was doing it. The problem was that there was no system explaining why clients buy. Only the founder knew in his head. And hadn't created the process in the system so the company can grow without him. So the new people can jump in. And it happens all the time. For example, also if you are going demand gen and you didn't try demand gen, but you hired the guy to develop demand gen without you knowing that actually it works, basically you're dooming that person and ruining their career. And nobody thinks about that. Okay, so to get back to the topic, the way out of funder-led sales is not hiring a better sales rep, it's documenting why people buy. Win stories, objection handling, ICP markers, all of that while the founder is still selling. You need to document all the stuff so you know what's actually happening. The system has to be built in parallel with the sales process. It doesn't, it mustn't be created after the founder burns out. So if you're a founder selling alone, listen this, start recording your calls. That's the first thing. We are living in the AI times. Not to listen to them yourself, but so somebody else on the team can listen and extract the pattern. In 6 months, you'll have the playbook that doesn't depend on you. You will have a system that works and that somebody else can jump in and join and help out with that. Okay? So that was a quick one, and we have two more. The famous one. Hey, Nemanja, we need more content. This is the reflex that actually kills the revenue. Revenue stalls, and immediately, reflexively, somebody in the room says, we need more content. We need more content. As if the problem was the silence. It wasn't. Content doesn't fix the broken positioning. Content doesn't fix a bad ICP. Content doesn't fix a non existent follow up system. Content amplifies what already exists. So if the message is unclear, more content means more noise, just louder and louder and louder. I had a client who wrote posts every single day starting for 3 months, right? So the LinkedIn, newsletter, blog, perfect rhythm. When we went in, the problem wasn't the volume. The problem was that not one piece of content had a clear call to action. Not one post led anywhere. He wasn't following the buyer's journey. They were a great media machine with no system behind it. Just produce, 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 and don't care about the results, who they are for. Are they actually helping the customers get to the next step in their buyer journey? Because that's what content should do. That's what marketing does. Content itself is an amplifier, it's not a generator. So before you ask how much should you write, ask yourself what happens when somebody reads this. Where do they go? Who contacts them? What's the next step? If those questions don't have the answers, more content is more expensive version of the same fucking problem. So next time someone says, we need more content, Nemanja, ask them, tell me this, which piece of content has brought us one step closer to the sale? Which one? Which post convinced somebody to book a call? If you cannot say that, man, you are in trouble. If you don't know that, you don't need more content. You need a strategy from what to do with the content you already have. That's how you should think about the things. Let me see the comments. Great content has a harder time today because of noise and AI. Great content flood. Yes. We're going to talk in one of the next episodes. We already talked in the previous one how you can actually overcome that. But yeah, that's a great comment. It's having a hard time to be found by the right people. So, talking about nobody reading the content, seeing the content. What happens when nobody reads your proposal? That's the last topic I want to address today. So you're writing a proposal for yourself, but not for your clients. And it's happening a lot, especially in the agency space. You write 12 pages. The client reads the subject line and the price. Everything else context, methodology, timeline, references. That's all self-soothing for you. Prove to yourself that you are actually serious. So let me get to the problem. Most B2B proposals are written like a CV, believe it or not. This is how I see it. What we do, how long we existed, which clients we have, what our processes. The problem is the client didn't ask about you. They don't care about you. They ask about themselves. So they are buying a solution to a problem that they have. They are not buying your history. I don't care. Okay? A proposal that starts with VR company X epsilon founded in is a proposal that loses in the first sentence. I reviewed a lot of proposals in the last couple of months, working with the USP and proposals and discovery and how clients are coming to the companies from like 6 companies, same industry. So every single one started with a company description. Everyone had why us slide. Everyone had methodology before describing the problem it solves. Not one started with here's what we understood your problem to be. Here's what we think we can solve it. And here's what happens if you don't solve it. So that order is built for the special purpose because it tells you who the proposal was written for, you or the client. Okay, let me repeat that to make it clear. Here's what we understood your problem to be. Here's why we think we can solve it, and here's what happens if you don't solve it. Those 3. A proposal that sells has only one job. The client reads the price and says, yes, that's exactly what I need. And it means start with their problem, not your story. Describe the situation before you offer the solution. Show that you understand what's at stake. Show that you don't just understand and want to share them what you can deliver. Show that you care. Form comes after the substance, so never goes the other way around. So take your last proposal, read just that first page. Does the client see themselves in it, or do they see you? If it's you, rewrite the first page, just the first page. You will see the difference on the next call. Okay, this is a short, cute topic, and I want to give you a couple of instructions so you can go and execute it. Okay, so that's it for today. 6 topics, great questions. Guys, thanks for being interactive. Let me see if we have some more before I close, because I wanna answer because I have time. Okay, so no new questions. Well, that's all cool. If you see this when we finish the live, make sure to still ask questions. If you're watching this on YouTube as well, why? Because I will try to answer your questions in the next live and in the next week. That's how we build a relationship, and this is what I'm doing, this to create a relationship with you, to talk about the things that are on my mind that pisses me off. So yeah. Juan says, I can't believe that the why us thing is current still. Glad I don't buy in B2B. Yeah, man, it's still there. And the thing that pisses me off is so many things are still on that level. And we are living here, talking about the technology that changes the world. Unbelievable things that I'm seeing. Okay, so we cover 6 topics. The relationship, that's just a habit, the go-to-market strategy that lives in a deck and dies over there, the conference circuit nobody is measuring, the founder who cannot scale because the whole system lives in his head, content as a reflex inside instead of a system, and the proposal you wrote for yourself. All of this happens every week. I work with a lot of companies. I consult a lot of companies. Uh, I'm inside the company, so I see the things, and that's what I'm doing. This Nemanja Unfiltered things, so we can go in depth with the thing and talk about the problems and find solutions in companies that are otherwise doing well because they're quite problems, right? They don't make noise until those problems becomes expensive. If any of this sounded familiar, that's good. That means that you know where to start. So that's it from my side. See you next week. And what I always say, keep it funky. And if you're just coming and listening to this, now put a stop on what you've been listening, go back to the beginning, find some things that are useful, send me a question, and let's connect. Send me a message on LinkedIn, like this, share it, help me spread the word, and we'll grow it together. And at one moment, probably Nemanja Filter will guest when I decide that it's time again to deal with the guests. So yeah, same thing. We're building on a back of this. We are building a paid community. We're gonna communicate about that. I think starting in a month. So tons of interesting stuff coming up. Be there, be prepared, and I hope that we get a chance to do it together. Cheers. Keep it funky. Bye bye.